welcome to this very special episode of Be Your Empowered Self. I am your host, Deborah Fedor, the episode 100 of Be Your Empowered Self. And today isn't just about celebrating a number. The fact is, we are told to celebrate all small wins in our life. It is one of the biggest things we can do to enjoy every moment. And those small moments actually add up to the beauty in our lives. Sometimes you're not sure what will happen. Well, when I started this podcast, that's how I felt. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I'm going to jump in both feet. And whether I sink or not, at least I tried it. What I like is that I've learned through doing this podcast about persistence and consistency and the courage that the moments where you want to quit, but you don't, it's that courage that keeps you going. And I get to share this moment with three wonderful women who knows what it means to step into the unknown and create a second chapter on their own terms. Sharon Gordon, Sonia Dong, and Deborah Sinclair. Each of them has lived through the doubts, the pivots, the long nights of wondering, is this really possible? And they've come out not only stronger, but more themselves than ever. Hello, everyone. Today is my privilege to shine the spotlight on these three amazing women. They're reminding me that reinvention isn't reserved for the lucky or the loud, but for the loud and the brave. And each of them said yes to the unknown, yes to their truth, and yes to becoming more of who they really are. And in doing so, they have created lives that not only reflect their values, but also light the way for others. You will hear as we continue on their stories today, not the polish, not the highlight, and not the version that you often see on TikTok, but the real ones, the ones that shaped by quiet courage, the late night doubts, the second wins, and the secret starts. So let's settle in and let their journeys remind you of something you may have forgotten. You are not too late. You're not too far gone, as so many of us might think in our second chapter. It is never too soon or too wild to start again. We can always start over. So let me introduce you to these amazing women. Sharon Gordon. Sharon is the author of Sherry Baby, a story that blends resilience and truth in the kind of love that doesn't always look like what we expect. She lived through seasons of deep transformation, not because it was easy, but because she chose to live in alignment with who she truly is. Sharon, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Sonia Dong. Sonia is a podcaster and a founder of Raising the Next Generation. I applaud her. That's such a beautiful thing to be doing with the generation today. She's a voice for parenting that is both intentional and real, walking the balance between raising strong children and staying rooted in her own values. Sonia, so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Deborah, she's a therapist. Deborah has 30 years or more experience guiding women through healing, transformation. She's seen the hard, the up, the lows, and the empowerment. She has witnessed the myths, the breakthroughs, and the truth about what it really takes to change lives. Changing life is not an easy thing, but Deborah, thank you for joining us today. And today we get to walk beside them and learn. Sonia, Sharon, and Deborah, I just want to take a moment just to say thank you. Truly for taking the time out in your full lives to be part of this special 100 episode. I know it wasn't easy getting you here, but you showed up. You said yes, and I appreciate that so much. So let's get started. So what if I told you that most people die with their dreams still inside of them? Shocking? Well, it happens. I have to say I almost did. Not because I didn't have the dreams, but because I was too busy living the life the world expected of me, until I realized the cost of waiting was life itself. So that's the truth most of us don't want to face, because it forces us to ask, am I living the life I'm meant to, or am I still waiting for someday? Today's conversation, you will learn from women who said enough is enough, women who refused to bury their dreams, women who chose courage even when the net wasn't visible, women who decided that their voices, their purpose, and their future was worth the leap. These three amazing women who are proof that it's never too late to start, and it's always the right time to live the life you're here for. So let's start with you, Sonia. What made you leave something you helped build, a business that was thriving, and you step into a different purpose in your life, podcasting?
Yeah,
First of all, thank you for having me here. And I'm so glad to be here in the company with such wonderful women. And with this podcast that I started, Raising the Next Gen, it was really answering that call, that dream that I had been thinking about for a long time, but never thought that it would be possible, because it's just so different than something that's more traditional, a traditional job or position where you kind of build up, or even a business, which I'm in the process of closing, and really sitting with myself and asking, what do I want? Because if you have something and you've built something, it doesn't mean that you're going to have it forever. You really do have to reflect and think, is this what I'm here and what I'm meant to do? And with that business and with other positions and jobs that I've had in the past, I've gone through many different types of positions. So this business that I had, it was a for-profit e-commerce business. And before that, I was working in nonprofits. And some of the things that kept on coming back and surfacing up for me was that what I liked about the positions that I was in, I was communicating with people, helping people, being of service to people. And so at this stage of my life, having two girls, and they're in the teen and tween stage, they're turning 12 and 14 this year. So I thought there seems to be a bit of something missing in the community and in the space around teens and tweens. And a lot of people think, well, this stage, like when I was approaching it and when I started in the stage, I thought, oh my gosh, it feels really heavy. Yes. People always talk about, oh, it's such a difficult stage, you just have to get through it. And I thought, I don't want to just get through this. I want to enjoy it. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy my life with my children. Why does it have to be hard? How can I make it easier? And I view myself through the podcast as a messenger. So I'm not an expert. I'm a mom who is living through parenting. And I really like connecting with people and learning, and I have this sense of wonder. And while I'm learning about parenting, why not share it with the world and be a messenger to help other parents find more joy in parenting at this stage of life? So that's the reason I'm doing this.
Wow, I love that. That was actually, it's heavy, but the fact that you took on such a role, it speaks to you and who you are. Sonia, your story makes me think about how courage sometimes hides in the small. But those quiet decisions we make daily, it's not always the big leap. Sometimes it's the small decisions in the background, those everyday choices. And I am in awe that you took on such a leap, because it is a big leap when you think about raising the next generation.
Yeah. And it's as much as it's about raising the next generation of adults, it's also raising the next generation of parents, which I view myself as. And how can I reparent myself and release some of the things that I learned when I was growing up, and releasing those parenting patterns and finding something that is more joyful for me and more empowering for my kids as well.
And when you said that, because as a mother, and most of us, Sharon and Deborah, probably all can speak to that, raising children really does bring out a whole lot of emotions in you from your past. And also it makes you start focusing on your future if you haven't. So it can help you correct a lot of things in your life. And it can help you focus on whether or not you're going to be that good parent, that good mother, or raising that voice that you have now. I think you said even for parents, that's a good thing. And sometimes when we build something that's good, you had a good business or you had a good life, when you feel it no longer aligns, and I'm sure Sharon can attest to that, and Deborah, a lot of times people tend to push through and they don't ask the big questions. Should I change? And most of the times people don't have the courage to do that. So I applaud you. That's awesome. So Sharon, when was the moment that made you said in your life, enough, I need to create something that's mine?
Thank you for having me. Thanks for having Sonia and Bora here, and happy 100th episode. And it's with us, ladies. It's wonderful. So
it's
thank you.
Next step.
I'm listening to Sonia speak, right? And I know you asked me, but I'm going to answer with
That's
what
okay.
Sonia said. You get to a point where you realize that it's what you want. This is what you want to do. I remember when I have one son, Omar, who is here today visiting with my granddaughter, so I apologize in advance. The house is full of energy. But I remember when folks used to say certain things about their children, and I would go, I don't have that problem. And they would look at me weird. I'd be like, well, I talked to Omar. I'm working this out with him. We're going through this together. I never had a book that told me how to do it. Thank God we have a Sonia now that's teaching us how to do this, because it's needed. Because you have parents like
Yes.
me who honestly can say, I'm going through it with him. He's learning to be a son to me, the kind of crazy mom that I am, and I'm learning to be a mom to him. And I don't mean crazy in a crazy sense. I mean it really that this is new to us. So to have a Sonia providing this kind of guidance is so timely right now when we can get it through the technology that we have. We need that. Sonia is that person. And Sonia, thank you. Sometimes you're embarrassed to have those conversations with others, whatever it is you're going through with the kids, you know, and then you realize you too. Yes. So thank you. Back to your question.
That's
Deborah,
okay. So what started your reinvention? What made you think that there was something missing in your life? Like enough is enough, and I want to create something of my own, something that I love.
I was living a very untruthful life, my mother would say. A life that I felt like I was a hypocrite. Yet to people on the outside, it looked so good. To people on the outside, it looked so wonderful. I'm Sharon Gordon. I am head of CPR. I'm journalist. I am this. I am that. I'm doing all of this. But I wasn't doing Sharon. And then the spotlights and hosting and producing and carrying the world of reggae music. I've worked a lot in the reggae music scene. I live in the New York tri-state area. I've lived here for 46 years. I've been a part of the culture. And so there was an image. I was a journalist. It was all of that. I was living up to this image of everybody else's image of me, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I had a series of moments that I knew when I no longer wanted to be, there anymore, or it just took so much out of me that this is not what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to do for me. And I think a lot of it had to do with realizing that I had high expectations of folks and then they would disappoint you. I had a paradigm that was an issue. And I now, being a part of the programs that I've been in, I recognize that that's really within me, that it was neglect as a child that really triggered that in me, where you would work so hard for these artists. I did a lot of work for a lot of artists or people, and you would then just not be recognized or even just that thank you or anything. I was like, why am I doing this? And I feel so badly. I need to do this for me, pour into me. I'm so skilled. That's what led me to where I am. It is a series of things that have happened. I have been a part of so many success stories, but they were not my own. There were others that I was creating, and yet feeling so unappreciated. And you're human. You do feel that after a while. You want someone to acknowledge that you started something. I wanted that, and I wasn't getting that. And I felt slighted at times. And these things built up over time. And I realized I wasn't happy in an industry that I was supposed to be such a foundation person in and of and what have you. And yet on the other hand, you would have people say, but you are recognized. But that is not the type of recognition that I'm speaking about. And so it took a while. I had a major accident where I almost lost my life. And it really, if I was to say that was the denouement moment, then that would be it. And that happened in 2017. And I would say that would be the piece that sent me over and said, well, listen, if I get a second chance to do this, guess what? Later for everybody else, this is all about me now. And I just went on an all about Sharon mission. I have been on that mission ever since. I've been flying ever since. I walked away from a life I knew. I left it. People thought I'd lost my mind. I was living a COVID life before COVID even came. I shut myself off from everybody, everything, walked away from it. And that was the most drastic thing I could have ever done in my life. But it was in preparation for this that was to come. And now I get it. Because everything happens in the now and as it should. You just have to believe that it's going to work out, So in a very long-winded way, that is the story of Sharon 2025, of Sherry Baby, the best-selling novel that is Sherry Baby, that was written during COVID.
Oh, okay. That's when you wrote it.
That's when I was given the download. That's when I got all of it in a year, from March to March. I wrote that. So I couldn't.
The wonderful book.
The wonderful. Thank you.
Everyone should read it.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, Deborah, from my heart, I love you.
I love that. Thank you so much for opening up and sharing that with us. Sharon, your insight here just reminded me of sometimes the bravest things that we can do is to let go. Let go of the stories that we tell ourselves. And I think all of us can attest to that. Sonia spoke a little bit on that. And now you spoke on that. And I know in my life, that is what I had to do. I had to let go of the old stories that we tell ourselves, the old stories that no longer serve us, to be able to move on, to recreate and reinvent what is really us. For so many times when you're sharing your story, and I couldn't help think about, it's not just a few, it's so many of us, and especially women, that actually feel as though that they cannot be themselves starting out because they're told so many biases when they're young, right? Or they follow patterns of mothers and grandmothers and aunts or whoever it is, and they never really live up to who they truly are. And so thankfully that we get to a point where we don't die, some of us don't die with our dreams still within us. And that's why I love that quote. As much as it is shocking, it really is a truth. So Deborah, when I was doing this podcast, I think about the many, many years you've been in service to others. Here's what I would like to ask you. How do you stay grounded while carrying others' stories? Because that's hard to carry other people's stories and stay grounded and true to yourself.
Excellent question. But thank you for having me here, first of all.
Very welcome.
Lovely to celebrate with all of these wonderfully inspiring women.
What were some of those things that you did or said or let go of?
Well, I don't know if this particularly helps, but I have never really separated myself from those I work with and serve. It's always been an honor for me to be in the presence of survivors. They feed me. People say, "Isn't your work depressing?" And I think, no. When someone walks in that door, I think, wow, I am seeing such a courageous, strong person. And I work with women primarily and their children, but also men. Probably a third of my practice is with men as well, who want to make change in their lives. And so I have little tricks. When I always serve tea. I'm thinking about my clinical practice right now, not my public work. I always serve tea. So I always have an excuse to go and fill the kettle. So I look at my eyes in the mirror and I say, okay, this is you, this is them. And then I go back in and say, this is not about you, this is about them. You take your seat and you're there to listen and, to assist. And then when they leave, I do the same thing with the next person I see. I go back into my bathroom, my sacred space in my office. And again, I look, okay, they're gone. They're on their journey. It's their life. You've given them something, I hope, useful. And now you come back to yourself. And yeah, even in the most difficult of situations, I think I've been able to stay me.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever given up me.
I love that. I think
don't know if that helps.
No, it does. I love it.
And when I realized, I've done a lot of training on how to do this kind of work with others, but then I realized so many people I've been working with, professionals, advocates, shelter workers, cops, doctors, who do this kind of work that I'm teaching them about, I realized the impact on them, vicarious trauma. So then I'm not wed to that term. I'm not even sure how I came up with it, but it's that you're not the primary victim, but you witness. So there's a whole experience of secondary trauma. And so I started doing a lot of workshops on that area, I guess probably because I needed them and they didn't exist, which has kind of been my life. I need this, so it doesn't exist, so we better create it.
This way of refilling you in a way.
No, I've been blessed to have, from a very early age, I knew that I was born a helper, never questioned my path. I've always led a life of service, and it's been a blessing. I know not everyone, and I can hear it from the two of you, have always known what their calling is, but I've been lucky. I've known it since I was 4.
And that is very rare, but it's actually one of the things that people often said, and I've been trying to do with my kids also, trying to get them to stare to find what they want early in life instead of struggling through. And I remember Oprah said, one of the things that she can tell people is that find out what you'd want to do early in life and then work at it every day. And that's what just came to mind when you said that.
It's finding purpose in the world. The world is a big world. I believe in a creator, something larger than myself and all of us. And to find our purpose that fuels us, that fills us, that lets us believe that we're leading a good life. That's what it's about.
And now we know Sonia is on that path. She's decided that's what she wants to do. And that's a beautiful thing because that's really needed in our society today. That's a real purpose out there. I mean, for young people, because we can see young people drifting. And then we have, of course, Sharon. It's not like she wasn't successful, but you weren't on that path that you felt that it was yours to claim, yours to put your voice on, yours to put your stamp on. In the same way, I love that Sonia said, she's not just only helping others. Most of all, she's helping her daughters, but she's also helping herself. She's also helping mothers. She's helping parents also to rewrite the narrative around raising children, especially in this generation. So that's such a beautiful thing. And when I invited you, Deborah, of course, I knew that you weren't fitting into the reinvention, but this particular podcast is becoming who we were meant to be. I thought about it. You fit perfectly into it because you have systematically throughout your life became the person who you wanted to be. And it's never too late, though, for anybody else to find that way.
No, I work with women every day who are like us. They're constantly changing, transforming their lives with such courage and bravery. It's a wonderful thing to see.
But as a therapist, Deborah, can you share one thing that's stuck with you, maybe with someone? Is there a story or something you can share that stuck with you?
It's a good question. I mean, I've worked with hundreds, thousands over it's 45 plus years. I'm getting up there. I have no intention of retiring.
And that's why I have you. You're still the voice that's relevant today because you have so much wisdom and you have so much that you can share with us. And I also wanted to show people that it really doesn't matter. Age is just a number and it really doesn't matter. It's how we continue to live our lives and how we continue to share what we know and how we continue to lift each other up that really makes the big difference. And it doesn't matter in what aspect of it that it is. Saying that, listening to all three of you, I'm struck by something that the truth that courage isn't a one-time act. It really isn't. It's a continual thing in our lives. So many times people think they see movies or they listen to wartime stories and they figure courage is just in little pockets. There's little things that happens. But really in actuality in our lives, taking those courageous steps, we don't often see those as courage, but they are. Because for so many of us in our lives, it is so very much needed. Because life is not a walk in the park, as they would say. It can be challenges and struggles. And when people make those small changes and those small steps, those courageous steps, it is theirs to claim. And they should claim it and they should celebrate it. Because that's what moves us on to the next step in our lives, to bigger steps. And persistence. I learned it's showing up again and again and again and again, even when nothing is certain. That is what stuck with me. Don't give up, even when we can't see the staircase, even when light is not at the end of the tunnel, we keep on showing up. Being persistent is good, but consistency has to also be part of it. And I know, Deborah, you can attest to that because having such a long life in your field, you weren't just only persistent, only love it, help people, but you get consistent every day. You said, I love the fact after each person, you check yourself in the mirror, you look at yourself and you say, hey, just keep on moving. It's not about you. I love that because so many times we get caught up. It's all about me. It's not about us. It's about really serving, being of help to others. Consistency is never glamorous. And we all know that. In our daily lives, in the behind scenes, when nobody's watching. It's never glamorous when the doubts and the what if keeps popping up. But it's what builds the bridge from where we are to where we want to be. And that was stuck with me when I listened to stories that you've just said that inspired me. That's the person, when they walk away, they left a feeling with me. That has really been true, that feeling that you've left with me. So let's get back to the question. It's not about me.
Didn't Maya Angelou say that? Something to that effect, Deb? Maybe Sonia or Sharon remember the line. She had so many beautiful lines, but she said something like, people may not remember what you say, but they will remember how you made them feel.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
That's what you're saying. It's so
yes,
true.
but it is very true. The feelings that people leave with you linger much, much, much longer than the words.
The words.
We take it with us. So Sonia, I thought about it a lot, and I thought about what an incredible daughter you have. You mentioned in your book, your daughter once said, if we don't fail a lot, we can't succeed. How did that shift you when she said that? Because you're a co-author in the book, and what a beautiful chapter, actually. I love the fact that I thought a lot about it, and I said, she's speaking to me because I had postpartum depression. I was a perfectionist, so it hit me a lot. It resonated with me. And so getting over being a perfectionist can be very hard. Getting back to the question, your daughter said, if we don't fail a lot, we can't succeed. How did that shift you when you heard those words?
Yeah, it's just so interesting how kids, they really tell you the truth, right? And they're so smart in their own ways, so observant too. And I had written about that in the book Mama's Gotta Grow. I wrote a chapter in there, and that was about letting go of perfectionism and embracing gratitude. And yeah, I think when she said that, it just struck me, when I had to pause and think, wow, that is so true. And that's the thing, right? You don't know what you don't know, and you can't really improve unless you fail, and failing is okay. All of those things I had to come to terms with as an adult with 2 young children, and feeling like I had to do all the shoulds, and I should parent this way, and I should look this way, and I should have all these things, and my kids should go swim lessons and do all these things. And speaking to what Sharon just said, she was doing all the things and it looked good on the outside, but on the inside, she wasn't being her. She wasn't doing Sharon. I wasn't doing Sonia. And so I felt that perfectionism, did come from when I was younger and feeling like I needed to be in control of everything. So when she said that to me, I was like, okay, maybe I just need to I had to rethink how I thought about things in my life, right? Because at the time, I just felt like really stressed out about the kids and my life, and kind of playing the victim mindset, like, oh, I have to do everything, and all these things, and why isn't my husband doing these things? And then once I started saying thank you to him, and that really changed a lot, because at first I thought, he must know that I want to thank him when he washes the dishes, right? Like, he must know, right? But he doesn't, and he had to hear it from me, from out of my mouth. And so I was thanking him, and then I started writing the gratitude. What am I grateful to him for? And what are the things that he's doing that I'm not recognizing? And so once I started doing that, it's so true. Like, when you treat somebody a certain way, you receive that back. When you're giving and they're receiving.
Yeah.
And they're giving and you're receiving, it just makes things get better. And so that really helped me in my relationship with him, and that also helped me see that the way that I was acting was being observed by my children. So they, at a young age, already saw me doing certain things, and I came to the realization that I did not want them to internalize those things and also feel like they had to be perfect or they couldn't fail. So I've really learned that as a parent, I need to model the way.
It's not just only about telling them what to do, it's also showing them. They say that often kids will do what we do and not what we say, right?
Yes.
It doesn't matter.
They will just kind of go in one ear or the other.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them something, but what you do, you can do it one time and they will repeat that. They will do that. It makes what we do, right? It makes a big difference. And I know for me, being a part of a perfectionist, when I was, thank goodness I'm not anymore. I said that with all freedom, letting that go. My goodness. It was such a burden on you, right? But that burden came from me, and I didn't realize that for a very, very long time. And then it took me a long time to actually realizing, and Sharon touched on that earlier, that it wasn't about them, it's about me. I would tell anyone, if you have the opportunity to learn different things, you learn so much about yourself, about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? For instance, we become so used in being in a loop that we don't see that we're in a loop. Of course, Deborah knows exactly, as a therapist for 30 years and more, what that looks like for people, but definitely for the ordinary people that doesn't have background, it becomes a loop, a really bad loop that you can be stuck in for a long time.
And you need relationship and perspective to help you move through that, I think. Whether it's with a therapist or a friend, or in our case, for all of us, it's Hannah and each other, community that we're all a part of. This notion that man, in this case woman, is an island, of course, is BS, right? We all need each other. We need connection. We need collaboration. We need to share our joy with each other and our sorrow. I don't think people can do it alone. And I don't think that that's a weakness. I think that's a strength to know that.
Yes, I like what you just said there, to know that. It's not a weakness, it's a strength, but what you just said is such a powerful reminder. So I'm going to continue with you, Deborah. What advice would you give someone wanting to create change? So someone listening to this, what advice would you give them?
Well, when I think of the many women who've come to me over the years, I think that what precipitates them reaching out for help is when the penny drops that they cannot do this alone. And they need to reach out to someone, hopefully, who has some experience and expertise in that area. In my case, it's violence against women and kids, male violence. But, it could be many, many areas of expertise. What I see is when and I help them understand this when we build their narrative, their story, is there's usually some tipping point where the penny drops and a woman says, that's enough. And instead of, many women are socialized. You're talking about sexism and racism here underneath all of these conversations, because perfectionism, for instance, in women, that's a very sexist comment, or not a comment, but a conundrum for women, having to be the perfect mother, the perfect mate, I don't know if you feel perfect author, you two, but I hope you don't, although you pretty well, damn well are in your work, in your writing. Yeah, women, I think, have been raised to tolerate an awful lot and to not put themselves first, what Sharon was saying earlier, not to be who she's meant to be, but in the support role to so many others. I think that's how many of us have been raised. And so when a woman reaches out to me, it's like I help her see, okay, when did it stop? When did the penny drop that this is not a good place for you to be? And at some point, we're able to identify the moment. And all of a sudden, instead of looking back to take care of him, to deny, to minimize, dissociate herself from the harm that's being done to her, she starts to look to the exit. It might take her a year, it might take her 10 years. I've had women take 15 years. They want to have their kids raised before they go, or they have many reasons. But the point is, they have a clear idea of where they're going, which makes life much better, even if you can't get out.
I like the fact that you said the need to think about it, the need to look back and say, where was it? Where was that point where you started? And maybe even quietly in your head said, well, enough, right?
No. Well, it's kind of like what Sharon said earlier, when you were talking about it's true. It's a series of moments. Insight comes to you. But then when it comes, it's a wallop.
But
I agree with you, Deborah, because you just said something that made me, probably didn't say this in the onset, but you all know the story. I was in a relationship for 17 years that looked like the dynamic duo, right, in this industry. But for 10 years, I was praying to get out. You know what I mean? Like, I knew actively that for 10 years, when I went back to, like you said, when the penny dropped, that I had started to be like, I don't like this. This is not what I want. I know I don't want this. I have to find the exit sign. And so I agree with you. When you find that and you're looking for that, but you have to get to a place where you absolutely release it. And that's the point right there. You either, the analogy I like to use is that I kept going to the edge of the cliff, looking over and going back. And I would look over and, look up, look over and go back. And then there just came a time when I jumped. I just ran and jumped. And instead of sinking, I just soared, and I haven't stopped soaring. And that's what it is. You literally have to just jump, scary, belly in bottom of your feet. You're feeling like, what have I done? But you've done it for you. Until it's like that. It's scary. Nobody says it's not scary. It is scary, but you're doing it for you. And that part of it is the part, you're not doing this, I'm going to take this chance on me. And that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a chance on me, and the universe got me. I just got to remind myself about it every day. And women like me and like us, just got to every day remind yourself that, and that's the coaching piece that you're talking about, to help us understand that we're not out of sorts. We're actually moving into alignment, and it is okay.
Beautiful place. That's lovely.
I'll keep you there, Sharon. because you might have touched on it already, but what doubts or fears showed up as you wrote your book, and how did you push through?
Well, let me answer that by putting it in context. So Sherry Baby is written in, I'm Jamaican. I'm from a Jamaican family. We were immigrants in America. I've lived here since 1979. I wrote this book in the language of the people, which is the Jamaican dialect. The name is Sherry Baby, a little girl's big voice in post-independence Jamaica. Jamaica just got finished celebrating their independence on August 6th. So we're right in that time.
Okay.
But it's 1962 that they became independent, and the story starts in 1969 to 1975. So I'm placing you in Jamaica at a particular time. So I'm providing a historical background, but I'm speaking to you in the language of the people, which is frowned upon because it's not the Queen's English. How dare you give respect and honor to this language of the people? This is not right. There it is. There's the book cover. And again, people see it and think it's a children's book. It's by no means a children's book. We did that intentionally because we judge books by the cover, and we should not judge a book by the cover. We should pick it up. We should get to know people, get to know things. And so when I'm writing in that, and the woman who was my mentor is a woman by the name of Louise Bennett Coverley, who was the one who did this research, you know, social anthropologist, you name her, historian, folklorist, you know, she did this and dedicated her life to creating connections for us as youth in Jamaica, in a colonial British space, giving honor to our history and our natural tongue. And she taught me that people's language, their natural tongue is what they have to tell their stories. And so I grew up with a juxtaposition where I'm being taught to speak the Queen's English, but then during the week, but then on a Saturday when I'm with Miss Lou, I'm being taught about my culture, and then I'm told not to speak like that because it's not proper. And then, so this was something I became aware of at a very young age. And like Sonia said about children, and we've been saying, I chose Sherry Baby as a protagonist because she was young and innocent. So no one can say I was coming with a character with biases, and it's never been done. So all those things were doubts. How could I do this? How could I write in this language? How could I present the protagonist as a little girl with this beautiful cover, thanks to Marlon Wright, who got it, and write about the people in a way that is not the tourism Jamaica, but Jamaica as a little girl is seeing it right after independence, people coming into themselves, a country coming into itself, identity, politics, the themes that come with that, classism and colorism in Jamaica, all of that. I had to keep checking myself. Is this okay? Will I get through this? No, I can't say that. Or wait a minute. But I kept being encouraged by my ancestors and the spirits who visited me to say, go forward. I created a glossary in this book, thanks to Miss Lou's energy in me and that of an educator, to say people's capacity to understand the language and appreciate the story. And so I did that. And so every opportunity that came that showed up as some kind of negative or some kind of setback, I pushed through it because I knew that this was something that was being poured into me. I recognized that I was in a moment in my life. I understood that something special was happening. I mean, after I completed it within a year, I sat on it. I was afraid. I was vulnerable. I was like, what did I do? What did I just write? What the hell? I can't release this. And that's why it has to be a biographical fiction as well in Jamaica. And a lot of it is based off of my life. But yes, I had to do that. So yes, there was a lot. And I'm still overcoming all of this because this is not a normal Caribbean literature book that I have written, ladies and gentlemen. And I love that you all get it. Thank you. It speaks.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
My goodness.
Thank you. So all that I've pushed through is paying off. I trusted. I am learning to trust. I didn't always. Every day I get better of it. For me, this is a work in progress. I am every day just asking, please give me the guidance I need. Just push me, help me push through, because I am learning to be a new person. I love what I'm becoming, and it's new, but I'm glad. It's like, oh, okay, I made it over here now. All right, let me get my feet settled and breathe a little, but keep moving, because it's new. It's new that I'm doing this for me, that I've pushed through, and look at me now. Ma, look at me. I'm here.
I love it. Your energy is just amazing, Sharon. And when you talk about your book, I don't know if you can tell, but you just radiate on a different level.
Oh, thank you.
I could have listened.
All of me. It's
Yes.
all of you. It's
The
all of
love just poured out of you for your book. You were meant to write it. And you were meant to write about this little girl and her journey. And you did a
speaking
fabulous
boldly
Yes.
about, like Sonia says, and you've said, the things she saw adults doing and saying
Yeah.
in her little space
Yes.
at that time in Jamaica. It is what she did as a child, as only a child could tell. This people will get it.
Yes.
Themselves.
I thought it was an incredibly brave book.
It is. It's
Very brave.
That's the word. That's the word.
Very
And
brave.
that's what it was, Deborah. That's when I knew. That's why and Deborah, I know as a therapist you get it. That's why I was so, when I got finished that, what did I just do? Wait a minute. What did I do? Right?
You can see this.
Nobody is gonna see this. Okay. But thank God for the friends that I shared snippets with,
Good.
who would not give up on me, who kept saying, "No, Sharon, what happened to Sherry Baby? You've got to put it out." And I'm glad I did. It's the absolute best thing I've ever done. It's the scariest thing I've ever done. It's the biggest risk I've ever taken in my life. And I thought I've taken, no, this is it. This is, I bet the house, as they would say, as a gambling analogy. If I should use that one. This is the one where you say you bet the house on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you absolutely was like, this is it. This is for me. Enough is enough. This is for me. And that's what I want the takeaway. I want people listening to this to know that.
A lot of artists and projects that I worked on are celebrating 30 years now and gold status. I was there in the big, and look at me now. I'm very happy because now I know that what all my skill sets that I'm applying to me and Sherry Baby is kind of showing you that it is me. I am the secret sauce here. I got this. I was blessed with it.
Deborah is right.
This, okay, I did that. Whether you want to make sure has nothing to do with it. I know now that Sharon, look at you doing it for you, baby girl. Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm doing now. And so when people were very shocked when I wrote this book, they thought, Deborah and Sonia, I would be writing about my life in reggae. And I said, no, I don't need to do that. Not yet. This is what I'm meant to do right here. There's a place for that. And that will come when that comes. My story now is Sherry Baby. That I can say that, thank you, universe. Thank you, God, for the blessing that is Sherry Baby.
So good. I'm really
Thank you for sharing it with us.
Okay, Sonia, I didn't hear you. What did you say?
I said thank you for sharing Sherry Baby with all of us. It's just a gift to us.
Such a gift, eh?
Yeah.
Sonia. Thank you all. And I really receive it. And I want you to know I do. When Deborah says she would get up and go in the bathroom and check, Deborah, I'm just laughing because there were days when I would write something after probably being up for 4 days or whatever. And I would literally look at myself on the bathroom, what did you just write? What in God's name? Where are you going to put? No, Sharon, you will not be put. No, you're not doing it. And then I would talk in the mirror, Deborah. I was having these conversations. Then I would go back, probably crash, go to sleep, but I would go back to the mirror again. Yeah. And then I would, so thank you for bringing up the mirror. I'm a mirror girl. I went through the mirror.
I like that.
Yes. Because you got to see yourself. You have to see yourself.
Look at yourself. Really look at yourself. Yeah. And also thank yourself. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sharon. I love that. And I hope whoever listens to that, I hope they really see what you are bringing to them and you're sharing with them is that the resilience and the belief in oneself is so very important. Even when no one else believes in you, hold on to what you truly believe in yourself.
And push forward with it. That's why in Sherry Baby, I have her writing prayers, if you notice, because I wanted to share that she learned that from her grandmother. She's always praying. She's always writing a prayer. She's holding that space for hope inside of her. And isn't that what it's all about?
So Sonia, I want to ask you if you can give something to a parent. It's a huge topic, raising the next generation. But what is one practice that grounds your work right now, that helps you to stay focused and, podcasts that you're helping others to find and to learn?
Yeah, I mean, I love the conversation about the mirror and looking in the mirror, and I try to do that as well. I think for me, what grounds me is really the morning and evening kind of routine. And I'm talking about, I mean, I have my own practice where I I'm by myself and do the things and wake up and all those things. But I think what really grounds me when I actually start interacting with people, that when I interact with them for the first time in the morning and at the end of the night, that it is in a way that is of true connection. So one thing that we always do with the kids is, and I learned this when they were younger, because they would get up and they would be grumpy, or they wouldn't want to, go to school and do all these things. And I learned that just saying good morning and hearing them say good morning to me and encouraging them to say good morning to me, their dad, that makes such a big difference. So instead of, if I say good morning and they say, I'm so upset this way, why are you waking me up? I keep saying good morning to them. And I keep saying good morning to them until they say good morning to me. And it just snaps them out too. It snaps them out of that other like kind of grumpy feeling, and we can move forward from there. And it creates a nice anchor for the day. And then at nighttime, the girls, they're almost 12 and 14. They still like for me to come say goodnight to them. And sometimes I ask them, can you guys go to sleep a little earlier, because I think you're gonna have to tuck me in soon. Go to sleep before you, but we'll go through arguments, we'll go through frustrating things throughout the day, but at the end of the day, we have a little talk at the end of the day, and we say we love each other and good night, and tomorrow's a new day. So the bedtime chat is really nice, because that's when everybody's sort of more calm and ready to just turn down. And those two things really help me, ground me.
Communication, right? So that's good. Parenting and purpose. So do you like Deborah or Deborah?
Well, I'm on a day-to-day basis, Deborah. I do love the name Deborah. It's Hebrew.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Judge, right?
Deborah the judge.
The judge. When my father was mad at me, he called me Deborah. So it has a few not great connotations. Deborah.
I think it suits you, right? You're in that position of helping and being a guide in a way in people's lives. That's a beautiful thing. So last question. So Deborah, what fuels you personally, not just professionally, and these questions I thought about you because being a therapist, I thought about always giving on your part for so long. What fuels you, not professionally, but you, to sustain you and keep you enjoying both professionally and in your personal life?
First of all, I don't make a great distinction between my professional self and my personal self.
You mentioned that.
I'm me wherever I am.
You're always helping and giving.
I'm a helper. And I'm passionate. You mentioned the word passion. I am passionate about my work. I'm passionate about my children, passionate about my friends. I love to garden. I love to eat lobster, drink bubbly, celebrate all my friends' achievements like Sharon, Sonia, you. It's my work that fuels me in life. It is my work. And I don't think of it as work. I think of it as, what would the word be? Service? I don't want to set myself apart from others. It fuels me. I went through, and you folks know this, I went through a cancer journey. My health has been a challenge for the last few years. I've been a healthy, high performer, athletic person, busy bee my whole life. And then the last few years, I've just been knocked off the horse.
Wow.
And what a lesson that's been. Boy, we could talk about the cancer journey and the lessons in that. And I think what I had to learn is to accept help, accept support from other people. I had to learn to surrender, not so easy to do. I had to learn to rest and relax. You know Hannah's line in our coaching, doing life with joy, ease, and fun. I had to learn that.
Yeah.
My work is pretty serious, but I try my best to do it with a light touch. And it's, Sonia, you talked about how kids teach us to become, in some ways, better people, better parents, but certainly better people. And that's how I feel about my work. Of course, my kids strengthened me, gave me insight, taught me so much. And yeah, I guess through my work, I work with the some of my work is with the coroner's office on the Domestic Violence Death Review Committee. In fact, just before we went on air, I got the latest stats up to 2023, and I think we've examined over the last 20 years 400 plus cases, 600 deaths, and people say to me, that must be such depressing work. But you know what? I don't know if I'm different, but it's not depressing to me. I mean, yes, there are images and things like that that stay with me that are, heartbreaking. But what I really find empowering in that work, and I do find my work very empowering, is I get to make, along with my committee members, I get to make recommendations that will make a difference. I get to examine the full facts of a case. I get to look at where the systemic failures are, which is what my interest is. So it helps me build policy platform for prevention. And it's a way of honoring women's lives who have died. It's a way of keeping their voices alive and telling their story in a way that's a different story than what we would hear on the streets or in the papers, where I remember one of my first cases, the headline was, "Her mistake was." It's about her returning home. And I'm thinking, first of all, that was not exactly what happened at all. And secondly, why is it her mistake that she's dead? Like, that's crazy. And so the ability to change a narrative, take a different lens, take a different approach.
Exactly. What fuels you, right? And
the passion for this kind of work and elevating, changing the patriarchy, changing racism, that's everything.
And
we all do it in different ways.
And you've been able to do that, Deborah. You have been able to do that in your life. Someone mentioned that you were able to change laws too in certain parts of your career. I mean, how awesome is that? How powerful is that? And no wonder it fuels you. Not in the same way as the rest of your life that bring passion to it, but it's a huge part of you. It's not even just a passion. It's something that, like you said, you keep serving and giving because you see the need and you can turn away. You wanted to help. You wanted to be there and make changes to make sure that you were that the accountabilities were happening. And that's the whole point. Everyone is fueled in a different way. When Sharon talks, she lit up. When you talk about your work that you were talking about there, you didn't go off in a tantrum. You went off on your passion. You went off then on something that kept you alive, that keep you going, that you can talk about, and your face changed, your face light up also. And so we see that things that are important to us and things that feed us and things that, in a sense, that people call your purpose, and it has been your purpose your whole life. How can it not feed you and fuel you and keep you going and be the person that you have always wanted to be? So taking those courage along the way in your whole career, Deborah, along your whole life, making those courageous steps. Can you say that there were steps that were courageous, or did it come easy for you because it was your purpose?
No, life's not easy. No, I can't say they came easy. I had to change how I thought issues around consciousness raising and women, men, and patriarchy. And I had to learn all of those things. How to become a strong feminist woman, I had to learn that. I'm an intersectional feminist as a white woman. In fact, I went back to school to do my PhD when I was 58, just to learn that.
I'm glad you mentioned that. That is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
We're talking about...
It took me 10 years, but I did it.
Bravo. That change it doesn't really matter. If you want to do it, just do it. And that's why I asked you about whether or not courage was something you felt that came easy with you just because you knew your purpose, or was it along the way there were still changes to make? And you're right. There's nothing ever easy in life. And even when you have your purpose, and I like that you spoke on that. You spoke on that you yourself, you're the therapist, and you also had to make changes. And so with anyone hearing your stories, I want them to walk away that throughout our lives, it doesn't matter. Going back at 58, at school, and accomplishing what you want to do, and growing in your field. Sharon writing her book, and she's not even finished as yet. There's still more to come.
Oh, are you kidding? She's just beginning.
I know.
I can tell. She's a house on fire, that one.
You best believe that.
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, and Sonia, the fact that you saw a need and you jump right in and you say, I want to fill that need. I want to be part of it because not only am I living through it, but I also want to see where I can help others. That is what I'm talking about. I want people to understand that reinventing yourself, changing yourself, evolving, like Deborah, it's a continual thing. Being stuck is just a momentary thing in our life. Don't let being stuck keep you back from what you want. Don't also thinking that I'm the only one that is going through this. Don't let your purpose become where it only lives in your head alone. No, speak it. Do something about it. And
I just want to say, I love how, sorry to interrupt, Deb.
Oh, you're not interrupting, please.
I love what you said, Sonia, about that you didn't set yourself apart as an expert, that you were just a messenger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say just, you were a messenger. And I think that about my life too.
You are.
I don't set myself up as an expert. I don't set myself apart from anyone I work with. We're all complicated human beings. I think a messenger's a nice word.
It's
And
wonderful.
Sharon too. She downloaded Sherry Baby.
Yes. Same with Sherry Baby.
Yeah.
I think we all have a message in us. However we decide to bring that out, use it and help others, it will serve if we stand up and say, me too, I have a message, or I want to be more, or I want to continue to give. I want to continue changing and helping at any level that I feel it's purposeful. And so that is the message that I want people to take away with. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck, whether it's in today of what people would think of you, in the biases of what you, who you were before or your family were before. So Deborah, I want to thank you so much for being with us here today. Sonia, absolutely, your voice matters in the next generation of young ones. And Sharon, continue to grow and continue to share that beautiful voice that you have, that light up, that tells anyone they meet, there's no end. The possibility is beyond. The ceiling is breakable. Continue to do that. And I'm so thankful, so thankful. I can't tell you how much I really appreciate you being here, sharing your voice and sharing your time with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. It was lovely.
Thank you.
That's good.
You're very welcome.